your child afraid of the dark? Are they scared of shadows or monsters? Do they avoid dark rooms even in the day and require an adult to accompany them? Or do they need an adult to stay with them while they fall asleep at night? Or are their fears waking them throughout the night? Hi, I'm Barbara, a psychology student, and I'm currently undertaking a behaviour modification class at university. I use gradual exposure to help my 6-year-old daughter overcome her fear of the dark. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to help your child overcome their fear of the dark using the same methods. Fear of the dark is common in children from toddlerhood on, and it's usually spurred on by the development of their imagination. For many it resolves, but for others it can become a persistent fear. They may avoid the dark at all costs, and it is this avoidance which feeds their fear. Gradual exposure empowers your child to face their fears, and through it, they'll learn that courage is doing it scared. So, let's dive in to how we can help your child overcome their fear of the dark. The first step is to identify your goal. What do you want your child to achieve? It needs to be something tangible, like I want my child to be able to go into a dark room alone without an adult. The next step is all about preparing. First, you need to discuss with your child their fear. You may want to talk to them about how you've noticed they avoid the dark and explain when we avoid things, it makes the fear grow bigger. When we face our fears, the fear gets smaller. Depending on the age of your child, you may wish to visually demonstrate this with a balloon. The air inside the balloon is the fear. The fear grows bigger when we avoid it. When we face our fears, the fear diminishes. Next, you're going to want to talk to your child about the situations that they are afraid of. Through this discussion, you'll be creating a fear hierarchy. For this, you need a pen and paper. You're going to write down at least 10 situations in the dark that are scary for them, starting with the least scary and working up to the most scary. I like to draw a ladder with at least 10 rungs and place each of their identified scary situations on each rung, with the least scary situation on the lower rung of the ladder and the most scary situation at the top ladder rung. Now you're going to rate each situation with something called the subjective units of distress scale, or SUDS. It might sound complicated, but it's easy to do. Rate each scary situation in increments of 10, starting with 10 being the least scary fear on the lowest rung of the ladder, all the way to 100 being the most scary fear at the top rung of the ladder. The gradual exposure will involve slowly moving up each rung of the ladder, starting with the least scary situation to the most scary. It's important that each situation is not a big jump in fear. We want them to be slowly exposed to their fear without feeling overwhelmed. This is an example of a fear hierarchy. It is okay to have levels that involve others completing the activity with your child. You can see in this hierarchy a number of levels involve family members doing some activities with the child, gradually progressing to where the child undertakes the activity alone. If you have a younger child who is not able to identify the feared situations, you may wish to create the ladder for them. A simple hierarchy may be to gradually dim the lights. Explain to your child that they're going to move up the ladder slowly. They will need to stay in each activity or ladder rung for 7 minutes. Starting with the situation that is least feared, they will do that activity and stay in that for 7 minutes before moving up to the next activity or ladder rung. Let them know that they can stop the activity at any time, that they get to decide when they're ready to move up to the next ladder rung, and that they can choose a prize after completing each ladder rung. Your child is going to need some encouragement to enable them to complete the gradual exposure. Some things I'd recommend are: first, solicit social support. It helps if other family members get involved and can cheer your child on as they move up the ladder. Second, get ready to provide lots of praise. Third, create a prize box and have little inexpensive prizes that your child can choose from after completing each ladder rung. Older children may wish to choose their own prizes. And fourth, you may wish to also begin planning for a party after they complete the gradual exposure. A glow-in-the-dark party might be fitting. Now it's your child's time to shine. Have the social support and prizes ready. It's time to climb the ladder. Because many of the situations will be scary for your child, I recommend that prior to your child undertaking a situation that you do it first, the whole 7 minutes, to model it for them. Just ensure you remain calm throughout so they can see how to approach the dark. Then it's their turn, one ladder rung at a time, starting with the situation that is least feared and staying in it for 7 minutes. They may need to stop and come back to it and try again. They may need to repeat it a number of times across multiple days. They should only move up a ladder rung when they feel comfortable and are ready to move on. Ideally, this should be when their anxiety or distress level has dropped to about half. Observing how they're behaving should give you a clue as to if it has. At each ladder rung, they need to stay in the feared situation for 7 minutes. In these 7 minutes, they are feeling their fear and staying in it long enough to feel it drop down. They'll learn that they can feel fear and survive. When they complete each ladder rung and are ready to move up, now is the time to celebrate with plenty of praise and letting them choose a prize from the prize box. When they complete their most feared situation, try capturing it on video or take a photo of them. You may need it for the next step. Practice makes perfect, and your child will need to continue to be exposed to the dark after the gradual exposure to ensure they don't fall back into their avoidance behavior. So every day, ensure you're asking them to do at least one thing that involves them approaching the dark. If they show hesitancy, you may need to remind them of a coping mechanism, turning the light on. You can also whip out your video or photo of their achievement to remind them. If they do refuse to enter a dark room, ask them if they'd like to challenge themselves and have a little reward. This could be a sticker or $1 if they do take the challenge. By undertaking the gradual exposure, you'll empower your child to face their fears, which is an important life lesson. From it, they'll gain confidence and understanding that many things in life will scare us. True courage is doing it scared.